Welcome back to YZ's Travel Adventures. As I had the chance to visit Melbourne, let me take you on a tour of the Asian suburbs over there. I've done my series in Sydney, so check that out. This time round I'll be doing Melbourne. First place that came to mind was Glen Waverley, as this suburb was one of the places in Melbourne I was dying to visit. My first impression of this suburb is that it felt like Malaysia without the weather. Indeed, it has a large Chinese, Malaysian and Indian community in this suburb. A 40-minute train ride from Flinders Street Station will take you there, along the Glen Waverley line. Just make sure you are preoccupied with something to do during this time, as you're taking the train the whole way there. One of the main reasons why I chose to head to Melbourne was to visit Malaysia, and Glen Waverley helped to fill that void. There are two things you can eat in Melbourne, so one of them is brunch cafe food, and the other is Malaysian food. I chose the latter. The reason why there is a large Chinese and Malaysian community here is due to Glen Waverley Secondary College. It's one of the best government schools of the entire state. Why pay for private education when you can go to that school and get a similar experience? Also, Chinese locals call Glen Waverley the center of the universe, 或者在中文是叫宇宙中心. So the first thing is we get off the train and you're welcomed with the backdrop of all the apartment blocks. Glen Waverley is actually the terminus of the railway line, so you'll also see trains lined up and stored. And once we head off the train, we come and see a couple of stores, so there's a share tea and there's real estate. And then if you head to Kingsway, this is apparently the food mecca of southeast Melbourne. There is YOMG, so yo my goodness. Don't forget to try their burgers, they're really good. There's also a bread store, a Japanese restaurant, a machi machi. Give this one a try, because I remember Uncle Roger was filming a segment of this one. Also in the background, you'll also see outdoor seating, which is very representative of Melbourne as a whole. So you will just get Asian vibes with Melbourne vibes combined. Also just keep in mind that parking is quite hard to find on Kingsway, so you'll be stuck for 10 to 20 minutes trying to find parking. My suggestion would be to use the Glen Shopping Mall parking, which is free for 3 hours. Otherwise, just park on the streets elsewhere. As we walk down further, there are heaps of Asian restaurants. In particular, the one I liked was Grand Tofu, where you could actually pick and choose your Yong Tau Fu. So this reminds me of back in Malaysia. It also tasted really good. It's kind of like the one back in Ipoh. In the background, there's also a whole bunch of other Malaysian restaurants, so you have plenty to pick from. Close by, there is also a library and a hotel where people can stay in. In fact, it's actually Novotel. There are actually some business headquarters located close to Glen Waverley. So as we go into Century City, we see that there's a game machine, so kind of like what they have in Burwood back in Sydney. Then there's also a strike bowling centre and a cinemas. There's also cha time too if you want bubble tea. Furthermore, in the background, there are several new apartment blocks that have popped up, so it's a good opportunity to rent or buy an apartment to send your kids into Glen Waverley Secondary College or Glen Waverley Public School. There's also an Anytime Fitness branch as well, so having a membership there is helpful. The 902 bus also goes through Glen Waverley, so if you want to eat Vietnamese food, Springvale is just down the road, 20 minutes away. Or you can take the bus in the opposite direction and head to the airport. The next place we are heading into is the Glen Shopping Mall. Recently they got a facelift, so it looks as brand new as ever. On the face of it, it's just 2 levels. It's not as big as Chadstone Shopping Mall. They even have a nicely refurbished food court, and the seats even have power, so you can just eat and bring your electronic devices here for productivity. The shopping mall itself feels really open and has an inviting atmosphere. Some tenants include Woolworths, David Jones and Uniqlo. Haidilao Hot Pot is also in this mall, and it's one of those branches in Melbourne, so the other one is in Box Hill. Glen Waverley has Springvale Road as its main road, and is very busy during peak hour, so you need to be patient while driving here. If you take a stroll around Glen Waverley, you'll be able to find 2-story mansions going for at least $2 million, so you better have money to buy in this area. During sunset and evenings, it's a really nice place to go out on a date or to try some random foods, especially if you had enough of Melbourne cafe food. Anyway, that's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Laters.